What is up, beautiful people of the internet? I'm Wesley.
I'm Steph.
So Wes and
Steph.
today, guys, we're reacting to K-pop history in 20 minutes from SeoTaiji to BTS. I know I just butchered that.
You guys heavily recommended this video, and we don't actually know a lot about the origins of BTS. We only know, the origins of K-pop. We only know kind of about BTS and through the lens of like their documentaries and from their perspective.
And that relates to the K-pop industry during BTS's time and growth in the industry.
Yeah.
But we only really know about it through that specific lens. Like, we don't really know about the history at all. We know about BTS's record label and how they're not affiliated with any of the larger record labels and that they control the industry. But honestly, that's about it.
I feel like understanding this as a whole will add so much insight into BTS's music.
It'll just be cool to understand the way that the industry works, especially because a lot of content that we react to is like karaoke of older K-pop songs or trivia of older K-pop songs that just we're not as familiar with. I know the only K-pop that I was really exposed to growing up, because I went to a predominantly Asian American school out in Los Angeles, and so some of my friends did watch K-pop, but I didn't really get into it aside from just like seeing them watching it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the group that I remember that was popular amongst the people I knew was Big Bang.
Nice.
Which is kind of funny because I know that on Squid Game, Thanos is from Big Bang, which is kind of nuts. So that was kind of cool. But that's about as much as the history as we know. So
let's go.
One thing this video needs.
K-pop! This era YouTube wild to go back to.
K-pop. Korean pop.
K-pop, popular music originating in South Korea and encompassing a variety of styles. As you've seen, K-pop has grown exponentially. Everyone in the world, like it or not, must have seen a K-pop related video at least once. Either if it's Gangnam Style or a BTS video, or
Gangnam Style,
dancing meme on Twitter. But you might not be sure on what K-pop actually is and where and when it began. Well, it all comes down to a country called South Korea, a peninsula located in East Asia in between China and Japan. Korea was doing great with its kingdoms and dynasties for more than 4,000 years until 1910 to 1945 when Korea was colonized by Japan. And from 1950 to 1953, Korean War happened, splitting Korea into North and South. Then Korea was stuck in the Cold War. Due to war and all, the economy wasn't that great. Thus, the music industry wasn't that public nor diverse. While Korea did have music like traditional sounds or Japanese-influenced rock. 1970s, economy got a little better. Jeans, acoustic guitars, young kids enjoying life, rock, folk music happened. But still, the government doesn't like too much freedom and creativity. They want you to work. 1980.
That was funny.
Oh, so we're reacting to Life Gives You Tangerines right now on Patreon, which is from like the 50s and the 60s. And it's the first time that we've ever seen Korean history and a period piece from this time period.
I feel like you learn nothing about it in American school system. Maybe it's just me, but every time it'd be like we'd get to modern history, and when we're supposed to talk about this and be like, the school year's done, we ran out of time.
Really? For us,
all the time.
It would be like, well, the Korean War happened, but then the Vietnam War happened, so let's talk about that instead.
Yeah, that happened. Exactly. We just glossed over
No one, I don't know, at least like in my school, they just did not do a good job of teaching the Korean War.
No.
They just kind of taught it as
they rushed
a part of the Cold War.
Yeah.
They were like, the Cold War happened, and look, Korean War.
Yeah.
But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about Vietnam.
Yeah.
Which is
Two words, folk songs and ballads. First, Korean ballads kick in. People like these dudes make ballad really popular. Legendary dudes like Cho Young-pil pop out. Bands like Shinawi Drugukwa pop out. People start listening to these dudes instead of these dudes. Until the 90s, Korea gets rich. No one's unemployed. People call it the miracle of Han River. Successful Olympics, CD distribution. Kids get to wear Nike shoes, buy music, go to concerts.
I feel jarred. We're going so fast.
It's interesting that was such a key moment. They're like, they're wearing Nike shoes.
Yeah.
And dancing becomes a thing. Finally, the good old 90s arrived. Ding ding, hi, I'm K-pop. All these new genres start to bloom. Hip-hop, dance, R&B, soul, gospel, and of course the popularity of ballads and folk songs continue. Now, all these artists start writing their own songs. A lot of singer-songwriters appear like Shin Sung-woon, Lee Seung-wan, Yoon Jong-shin, Cheolame, Toy, and more. Boom, March 1992. This dude named
I feel like those ballads really went into the karaoke that we've listened to.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of ballads.
I've gotten some of them stuck in my head.
He appears out of
so
nowhere.
catchy.
Well, actually, he was in the aforementioned rock band Shinawi as a bassist, though in the meantime he was doing his own thing and explores the world of MIDI music, aka electronic digital. He's also a born rebel. He looks different. His crew dances like crazy. His band SeoTaiji and Kids released an album called SeoTaiji with the title song called I Know. They just sweep all the existing awards out there. Similar groups like Deuce might be competitors, but SeoTaiji and Kids and their songs and performances change everything. Critics claim
they look super modern.
You think so? Maybe like how they're dressed and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. How they're
Like,
dressed, they do for sure.
They look less dated than I was expecting from the 90s.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, if we didn't know in context and it hadn't told us, like, this is the 90s.
Because 90s fashion's back in style.
You think that's what it is?
I
don't know, because we grew up in the 90s, and I feel like I know what 90s looks like, and to me, this looks like 2015.
This is when we were born.
2 is the most important year in Korean pop music history.
Like, it doesn't
he
look like
destroys
92 to
genres
me.
like trot, ballad, and folk music. They released 4 albums afterwards until 1996. He mixes up hip-hop and traditional music in Hayoga. He also likes techno, and even uses heavy metal rock and classic media, criticizing the Korean education system.
Whoa!
And then the public suddenly tries to rewind the song and thinks he's Satan or gay. They keep on tackling social issues like reunification, environment, drugs, education. He's basically the Tupac of K-pop. Speaking of Tupac, he even touches gangster rap in his last album title, Come Back Home. And then they disband, more like disappear. Poof, yup, just like that, leaving one message: we've showed you everything we can try. Korea freaks out, kids don't go to school, protest, attempt suicide.
What?
K-pop is dead. Well, false alarm, SeoTaiji and kids might be
one band?
gone, but their impact still lives.
That's nuts to me that it's like, I'm curious if this is us now, not using revisionist history, but using like revisionist classification and saying like, oh, this is the origin of K-pop.
Yeah.
Versus like, was it called K-pop when SeoTaiji and kids were active? Were they like, oh, this is something new? This is Korean pop.
Are
you
you
see
like,
what
no,
I'm saying?
this is the only K-pop we've got is this group.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, were they saying that at the time, or is this later? We're like, we can see that this was the
I don't know,
the progenitor.
He is going fast.
Yeah, man.
Listening, radio equals lame. On the other hand, watching TV, performances, dance music, choreographies, style, competition equals cool.
The pictures are sick, by the way.
are.
All the 90s
They're
pictures.
so cool.
I don't know what it is about I think it's the manual film. It goes so hard.
Does.
Official fan clubs, fan meetings, fanfics, housing fans, fan wars, capital, artist management. It was like a cult, and SeoTaiji and kids were their idol. On the side, the tornado dance from I Know was the first dance choreo that went viral. Now, corporates see money in K-pop and idol businesses. Samsung, Doosan, Hyundai, LG, Daewoo, Lotte all make their own record companies and labels. Competition begins.
That's crazy to me, because obviously we're familiar with LG and Samsung because they make so many products that we buy here. So it's crazy to me that they are involved in the K-pop idol industry when I'm like, I think of them as like dishwashers and microwaves.
It's also really sad that it seems like SeoTaiji and kids were very like political commentary.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were very focused on like authenticity and messaging.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether they were materialistic or anti-materialism, but it didn't seem like seemed like they were specifically trying to make substantive music.
Yeah.
Like regardless, because I don't understand the politics of the time or the music specifically enough to say like, oh, they were trying to say this or trying to say that. But they were definitely like trying to have a message. It doesn't seem like they were just trying to purely be a commodity.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Which is
so
basically
it's
what
crazy that they
K-pop
were like,
into.
damn, this got popular. Cool.
Let's commoditize it.
Let's make a corporate version.
Huge investments flow from their mother company. Ambitious scouting, projects, new market, but no system yet. Expenses overissued, no transparency, business based on few inner circle connections. Result, obviously, all gone in a few years. Big failure.
Really?
But then there's DSP. The founder, Lee Ho-yeon, had some actual experience managing big artists like Taejina, Yoo-hyul, Shimshin, and Sobangcha. Sobangcha was actually close to an idol group model way before SeoTaiji and Kids in 1987. However, their music was more trot-based and had very simple dances, thus not as impactful as an idol group like SeoTaiji and Kids. Anyways, Lee Ho-yeon, who had the experience, makes his own label DSP in 1991. Wasn't really successful during the SeoTaiji era. Then in 1996, launches a group literally called Idol that initially had decent popularity, but gets demolished by SM Entertainment's HOT. 1996 and HOT debuts.
See, that's 90s
distinct fashion and hairstyles.
Yeah, there's 90s. Now we're in the 80s, 90s. This is...
Even sounded like the Backstreet Boys.
But see what I mean? SeoTaiji looked to me like they were backpack rappers from like 2012, like they were an Odd Future or something.
1996 and HOT debuts. Hardcore rap, distinct fashion, and hairstyles. Criticizing society. HOT is made by
really?
famous SM Entertainment.
They're still doing social commentary.
Izuman, in short, SM. Starts as SM Studio in 1989, then reforms into SM Entertainment in 1995. SM develops a systematic idol training system and earns huge success with HOT. DSP gets mad. 1997, they throw out Text Kids. SM activates their trap card. Girl group SES debuts in December 1997.
First girl group.
What?
And then DSP says, well, actually, no, IMF says, everyone hold your fire. Korea will be entering the economic crisis. People lose jobs.
This is crazy.
No, I was like, the IMF, we're talking about the International Monetary Fund. I read about them in like, I don't know.
Economic
my
forums.
random books.
Businesses go bankrupt, half of the entertainment labels shut down, TV music programs get canceled. People are struggling. They're jumping off bridges, so they aren't really cool or interested about idols. Well, 1998 comes. SMB like the show.
90s were freaking wild.
Yeah.
Go on. Pops out Shinhwa. DSP says, hold my beer. We present you Finkel. At this point, SM and DSP is the Marvel and DC comics of this era. HOT versus Chexkiz, SES versus Finkel, Shinhwa versus GOD. Well, GOD was actually produced by a third company called JYP and wasn't actually the typical dance idol group, but I'll get to that later. Each company and group shares the trophies and awards around music shows turn after turn, and of course on the way there were other groups like Baby Vox, Chakra, Cleo, and talented solo artists like Yoo Seung-jun, Park Ji-yoon, Lee Jung-yeon as well. Looking back, we now call this era the first generation of K-pop.
Okay.
I've seen people talk about like first gen, second gen, third gen, fourth gen.
Yes,
yeah.
me as well.
You might be wondering, whatever happened to SeoTaiji and the boys after they disbanded? I don't know about SeoTaiji himself, but one dude for sure was planning something. Yang Hyun-suk, who was the rapper and dancer of SeoTaiji and boys, was trying out his talent as a producer, but was kinda unlucky in the meantime. But anyways, opened up his own company, Hyun Label, in 1996, but kinda flopped with a group called Keepsakes. Then renames his company to MF Label and launches the hip-hop duo, Jinushan. Jinushan surprisingly did pretty well, even though hip-hop was pretty new. Yang Hyun-suk was well known to have an influence and background in hip-hop dance and music. He was spotted in Itaewon and dancing all the time before his debut dates. So this background and success with Jinushan led him to reform his company into YG Entertainment.
They
Oh,
changed
whoa,
their names.
they're YG?
Yeah, they changed
That's
their names
YG.
so many
A group called
times.
One Time. First generation of K-pop was sparked by SeoTaiji and boys. Everything got systematic, like the trainee systems and all. Groups with crazy hair, crazy fashion, and dance music. K-pop's still kinda strange, new, but popular to the public. Kinda trying to imitate American pop. While corporate-backed labels died with the IMF crisis, labels with professional music background become big, like DSP, SM, and YG. It was the opening, a door to a new era.
It's crazy that these juggernauts now that we think of as like, oh no, these are the soulless corporations.
Yeah.
At the time, we're like, nah, we're plucky and we are in this industry.
And
Unlike these other soulless corporations that went bankrupt.
Right?
We're young and we know music. It's crazy.
We're the good guys in this narrative.
Isn't this nuts?
Yeah.
First century. Second generation begins. Wait says 1.5 gen. On the conversion to second gen, there is a transition stage. Surprisingly, a lot of solo artists who sing ballads, R&B, and groups that do ballads or rock become super popular. Song Shikyung, Hisung, Vibe, MC The Max, Buzz, The Cross, BOS, SG Wannabe. Then where'd K-pop go? Well, many talented solos were there to bridge the transition. The famous Boa, known as Asia's Star, arguably the most successful solo female K-pop artist in history from SM Entertainment, got casted by Isuman himself and debuted at August 2000. Also debuted in Japan. Critics state Boa is one of the biggest contributors and pioneer in opening foreign markets for K-pop and SM. Boa gets to get all these first, youngest, most, blah 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 titles and rewrites K-pop history.
Crazy.
Other
That is
solo artists
crazy.
also kept the K-pop flame burning with competitions such as Rain and Seven. Speaking of Rain, let's get back to JYP. Park Jin-young, aka JYP, is this dude that was active during the SeoTaiji era as well. Initially got refused numerous times from labels due to his weird face and body, but finally debuts in 1994 as a solo artist. Tale is, SM himself rejects JYP from an audition, but later asks in private just because he wants to buy songs JYP produced. JYP is extremely talented in dancing and also being sexy, which was a first for a male at that time. Won many number ones during the era, even with the competition with SeoTaiji and Kids. Became a singer-songwriter and producer and made hit songs like Honey and Swing Baby. With that experience, goes on as a producer, producing GOD, once called the Nations Group, and also excavates Park Ji-yoon, who sang Adult Ceremony, also produced by JYP. And in the midst of that, makes his own company, JYP
Her hair
Oh,
Entertainment.
looks so Spice Girls to me.
Back to Rain. Rain was a backdancer of JYP and Park Ji-yoon.
Bro,
He's got his little. He's showing the same clips again. Now he's just got his hat.
I feel like I know this sounds like nuts, but I feel like I'm watching like, I don't know, a time travel documentary or something. Like there's so many interconnections. It's
so
crazy that there's like
packed.
specific groups and connections that were so formative for the entire industry.
Yeah.
It literally feels like I'm playing, I don't know, like I'm playing a visual novel or something, and we're in some loop. Like, this
Company,
is nuts.
JYP Entertainment. Back to Rain. Rain was a backdancer of JYP and Park Ji-yoon. JYP trained Rain and debuted him, also giving him many hit songs like How to Avoid the Sun and It's Raining.
That seems like the most appropriate person to sing a song called It's Raining.
Boa from SM, Rain from JYP, Seven from YG. This is when we start to see the three companies grow and become the now known big three of K-pop, SM, JYP, YG. Another fun fact.
It's nuts that it was off of artists.
Yes.
Specifically.
Yes, that they got big.
It kind
They
of
just got the big ones
they had
and they figured out how to make him popular.
About the 1.5 generation is that many solo artists tried their luck after disbanding from the first generation groups, like Kangta, Pada, Okjuyeon, Eunjiwon. However, to be honest, their popularity wasn't like before. Except maybe Ihori, former Finkel member that was least popular among the members, but suddenly pops up with a sexy solo debut and becomes Korea's diva. Finally, it's second gen. The idol groups are back, and the public is used to the word idol. SM Entertainment introduces TVXQ in 2004. They get the Rookie Awards, actually all the awards. Gets a Daesang on their second debut year and gets a Grand Slam in 2006, another Grand Slam in 2008, Oricon chart #1 in Japan. It's not a stretch to say they basically conquered Korea, Japan, and China. SM got rich. They make more groups like Super Junior in 2005, Girls' Generation 2007, SHINee, and FX in 2009. Super Junior becomes extremely popular with songs like Sorry Sorry in China and Southeast Asia. Girls' Generation becomes the nation's girl group with their stunning visuals and charmful songs like Kissing You and Baby Baby.
So
they don't
many
stop
of
with
them.
Korea. They go off to conquer Japan with their songs G, Genie, and O, bringing all those titles from Japan charts and album sales. SHINee puts out super addictive songs like Juliet, Ring Ding Dong, Lucifer, and achieves attention from mostly Japan and Southeast Asia, eventually touring all around these areas. FX shows the experimental side of SM. They carry a unique concept with all of their songs with obscure lyrics. Their unique electronic songs get very positive reactions from professional music critics. And note that we start to see non-Korean members, such as Victoria and Amber. With all these groups, SM is now all over Asia. Now, SM might be big. No group could rival TVXQ, but here comes a big group. Big Bang.
Hey!
That's the one you
That's
know.
the one that
Might be big. No group could rival TVXQ, but here comes a big group. Big Bang. Big Bang from YG Entertainment is a little
He
different.
goes so fast. I
I
want to
know,
look at the
guys.
In
pictures.
2006 as 5 members from a real survival program conducted by Yang Hyun-suk himself, Big Bang places its roots into hip-hop. 2007, they released their EP Always with the song Lies. This song was so big that it made them escalate to the top immediately. Then major hit songs after hit songs like Last Farewell, Haru Haru, Red Sunset make
The
Hey, there was
aesthetic.
Thanos.
So said the aesthetic looks like early BTS to me. Like now, like the not
Oh,
this
like
guy.
the specific.
Yeah, the hairstyle,
Like-
the makeup, the clothing.
immediately. Then major hit songs after hit songs like Last Farewell, Haru Haru, Red Sunset make them the unquestionable #1 group in Korea. They go on doing solo work, Japan activities,
Whoa.
world tours,
The kind of
sweet
punk aesthetic.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Yes.
Like, kind of
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it's almost like heavy metal, hip hop, and punk all
they feel
smashed
like
together,
punk,
right?
But
Yeah.
it's pointless to list achievements. They go on further with their career with mega hits like Blue, Fantastic Baby, Loser, Baby, Bang Bang Bang. Big Bang becomes the most popular, influential, listened to group. No male group can rival them in the second gen except maybe early TVXQ. The biggest point that differentiated them would be that the general public, including men, loved and sang most of their hit songs.
That's really
Big
That
Bang's
is
leader
interesting.
G-Dragon produced most of these mega hit songs.
Oh,
not to mention-
himself.
That's cool.
It's nuts that like there seems to be some parallels in the genesis of BTS
yes.
that we've seen.
Yes.
It's
That's
like
there's
there's
a
a-
key producer amongst the members themselves.
There's a key man that gets the music industry, that funds the record label, who's good at spotting talent because
Yeah.
he actually is passionate about the industry and
Yeah.
has experience in it.
Yes.
He makes a label because he's passionate about music. He's able to find artists with dynamism, again, because he actually has his pulse on what's popular in music.
Yeah.
That artist, like, catapults the label into significance, right?
Yes.
And then, like, there is an artist that gets beyond the level of fame that K-pop has reached up to that time.
Yeah.
mention his successful solo work and lives
And in Big Bang's case, they've got self-produced
Yes.
tracks.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
just huge.
the biggest Korean fashion, music, and trend icon to this day. So who is Girls'
Oh.
Generation's rival then? In YG Entertainment, probably 21. 4-member group debuted in 2009 with a very different concept, strong female image. Releases mega hits like Fire, I Don't Care, Go Away, Lonely, I Am the Best. They were the best. Ranked as
I
one
Am
of the
the
best
Best.
K-pop groups of the past decade by
Whoa, look at her hair.
They look completely different from all the other K-pop girl groups we've seen.
They feel to me kind of like, you know, that era of girl pop in US that was like Lady Gaga, Katy Perry,
Yeah.
with like the crazy
Hair and
the
makeup.
crazy hair, the crazy outfits. Like, remember when Lady Gaga like wore the red meat dress to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
and there was just like everything was big and everything was like
Fierce.
edgy and just different.
Yeah.
Billboard, and a female group that finally offered an alternative concept from the traditional pretty cutesy girl group stereotype.
Yeah.
Girls'
They
Very
feel
different.
most similar to the image that Blackpink portrays.
You think so?
So thus far, you don't think so?
I feel like
they're kind of
Blackpink
bow.
I feel like Blackpink combines the two. Where they're like, we're still pretty and sexy, but we're also fierce.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
21 weren't rivals in style because they were so different. However, the two groups were huge and probably the most successful girl groups in second-gen K-pop history. Speaking of girl groups, we have to go back to JYP because JYP is known as the girl group Royal Company. Wonder Girls is among one, debuted in 2007, put out major hits like Tell Me, So Hot, Nobody, which were all viral hits within the nation and Asia due to their simple and catchy point dances. In 2008 Haiwon Seoul Music Awards, they received their first Taesang as a girl group, competing with Big Bang and TVXQ. Haiwon Seoul viral hits within the nation.
Their dancing kind of looks TikTok-y to me.
Oh, you
but
think
TikTok
so?
didn't exist yet.
Due to
just kind of like, you know what I'm saying?
dances.
Yeah.
In 2008 Haiwon Seoul Music Awards, they received their first Taesang as a girl group, competing with Big Bang and TVXQ. Before Girls' Generation got extremely popular, they had the nation's girl group title in 2007 to 2008. Their style was distinct compared to Girls' Generation or 21 because it was mostly retro pop or electro funk. Wonder Girls were the first to appear on an American TV show, showing the possibilities of expansion of K-pop to the West. Nobody was the first K-pop song to enter the Billboard Top 100 chart.
So
on the other hand, JYP puts out boy groups such as 2PM and 2AM, who respectively have the Monster Idol and Ballad Prince concept. 2PM does especially well with hit songs like 10 out of 10, Again and Again, and Heartbeat, also becoming a sensation.
So there's 2 AM.
I saw him. I'm pretty sure.
Especially well with hit songs like 10 out of 10, Again and Again, and Heartbeat. Also
Vincenzo.
Yes!
No, not Vincenzo, but yeah.
Vincenzo.
Villain.
I'm telling not Vincenzo
Japan.
himself.
Here we see Nickun, a member of 2PM from Thailand, showing that K-pop is surely expanding beyond China and Japan. Now, it would be safe to say that the second gen of K-pop was led by the mentioned groups. There are other groups such as 4 Minute who made a strong impact and shift on the concept of girl groups. Then there was Kara, produced by DSB, and were known as big competitors to the Wonder Girls and Girls' Generation. Japan went crazy over them. Everyone knew their songs and choreographies like Steph and Mr. Now, can we move on third gen? Well, maybe yes or maybe no. Some people draw the line by 10 years, as in 2000 to 2010. Some experts draw the line by sudden inflation and saturation of groups. A lot of groups.
I thought we were going back to talking about like the IMF. It's like inflation.
Like economics?
Start to pop up like East M Black C and Blue B1A for Block B, BAP, B2B, VIX, Infinite, Teen Top, US, and more. For girl groups, After School, Tiara, Rainbow Secret, Miss A, 9 Muses, Girls Day, Sister, A-Pink, ESID, AOA, and more. So the groups that debuted in the late 2000s and early 2010s are...
I think that's a good...
Toby.
That's Toby from the Sidemen. I got so confused.
I was just like,
why is he here? Okay.
That's so funny.
That was a weird pause.
We're referencing everything. We got Toby from the Sidemen, the IMF.
Crazy references here. I think that it makes sense. Like for me, in my gut, where I drew the line was when there was the explosion of K-pop groups. Like to me, and the inflation, like he said, of having a bombardment of so many K-pop groups. That to me makes sense. That would be like the third generation because it's like it's eras, right? You have the founders, then you've got like the first wave where they're trying to like produce them, and then it's like, oh, this is working. Let's pump it. That's how it feels.
Which it kind of felt like that was everything, at least from a U.S. perspective in business.
Yes.
In the U.S., it was like, oh, we've kind of found some stuff that works in the 90s and the 2000s. Yeah. Great. Crank that up and like what if we did what we were doing, but we did 10 times more of it? Yeah.
Why is Toby here?
Tricky to categorize.
Plus, from this point on, please don't hate me for not going in depth of every single group or missing some of them, because that would change the title of this video to K-pop history explained in 200 minutes.
But if we were to say there was a dominant group of this transition era, it's EXO. EXO debuts in 2012 in 2 groups, EXO-M and EXO-K. Another experimental approach from SM trying to divide and expand markets. Anyways, EXO wins, tops, and grows. China is basically EXO's. EXO has the biggest and also most notorious fandom in Korea. That's how much people love EXO. They put out hit after hits like Growl, Overdose, Call Me Baby, Monster, Lotto. Their only rival might be the still yet hugely successful Big Bang. And then they slowly opened
Big Bang?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Doors to third gen. Now these are some of the characteristics of the third generation of K-pop. 1. Mass inflation and red ocean of idols, saturated market. 2. Globalization as a norm, catching the global audience is a must. 3. Idol audition survival programs. Because of the red ocean of idols,
that's what the idol auditions, right?
Yeah.
Like that was completely different than like, hey, you've got our training program and we think you've got potential, we're gonna put you in it. This is like, hey, we're handing out cards in the streets, come. Oh, we're gonna be cutthroat, we're going to make you cry every night for weeks on end.
Meat grinder.
Yeah.
Meat grinder.
Really, the mass public begins to dislike K-pop idols due to lack of creativity, overlapping concepts, and exhaustion of idol music. This is when the public starts to divide the term idol with artist. Many major TV audition programs become popular looking for real talented singers and vocals rather than visually appealing dance-based idols that only get to sing a few seconds in one song. Well, this is what the public thought at that time. I know there are exceptions among idols too. Oh yeah, in the meantime, in 2012, the worldwide viral hit besides Gangnam Style happened, getting the once most viewed video on the planet, thanks to its addictive, hilarious dance and beat. It got a number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. This was basically the first time that the entire world notices a country called South Korea and K-pop without having to mention nukes and this dude. And that's North Korea, by the way. In the third gen, despite the influx of idol groups, the only ones that survive are groups that have amazing...
At the time, I remember that there was so much focus on North Korea at this time. In America, right? There was so much focus.
There was a lot of negotiations and rhetoric and the changing leadership and instability.
There was a lot of fear, specifically in the media, for North Korea. And I think because this group came out of South Korea too at the same time, and it was
Psy?
Psy came and Gangnam Style became super popular, and I think people loved it so much because it was like the playful side over there across the ocean, and it was almost like just a direct slap in the face to North Korea is how it felt from an American standpoint. I know that's one of the reasons my parents loved it, and they loved it, and they loved the song. They thought it was amazing. They loved the dancing, and you know my parents, right?
That's so funny.
Is that so weird?
Music quality or musical talent or something different. Because the Korean market is so small and saturated, it now becomes a norm to have at least more than one global English-speaking member in the group. This member usually is in charge of speaking during overseas interviews and tours. Not only member-wise, but marketing and music-wise, the attempts become more globalized too, testing out new markets such as South America. In the meantime, the public and entertainment companies want a system to get the best quality idols out there, and that is by following the TV trend by making TV audition survival programs with worldwide contestants. This system allows idols to gain publicity even before debut and also verify popularity and talent. Although audition programs such as Produce 101 to Produce X have been extremely popular, it got caught in a corruption and manipulation issue recently, which likely put out the credibility and support towards these survivors.
So they were like, oh, this is a vote by the audience. Just kidding. We already picked who we want in the group.
Yeah.
Now, to name a few groups that are leading the third generation currently, definitely the girl group Trinity, Twice, Blackpink, Red Velvet. JYP's girl group Twice has earned the absent Nation's girl group title since... It's
interesting because I've started hearing most of these group names from third generation onward.
In comments and things.
Yeah.
Girls' Generation, along with major hit songs that dominated Korea and Japan mostly, like Cheer Up, TT, Knock Knock, Likey, and Fancy. Interestingly, these girls were also a result of an audition program called 16. YG's girl group Blackpink has the record of most YouTube views, 56.7 million in 24 hours, with its Kill This Love music video topping Ariana Grande. Their music videos have this much views each, which saves my time on trying to explain and prove their popularity. Also, they're the highest charting female K-pop group on Billboard Hot 100 and 200, plus they had an epic stage at Coachella too. SM girl group Red Velvet might not be as big as the former two in size,
I think like Blackpink is the girl group that I would say is popular in US.
Yeah, I'd
say
so
it's
too.
not unusual to meet somebody who knows or is a fan of Blackpink, just walking around casually in US.
Yeah, they're good.
Is always praised by the public and critics for their unique sound and high quality songs. Time magazine has highlighted their versatile musical style and named them as one of the best K-pop groups. Billboard agreed too in 2019. Fun fact, Red Velvet was the first K-pop group to perform in North Korea, and Kim Jong-un adjusted his schedule to go see them. Now let's not try to leave out many other talented, hard-working girl groups such as Mamamoo, Momoland, Luna, IZ*ONE, G-Idol, CLC, Dreamcatcher, G-Friend, Lovelyz, Oh My Girl, Ujusonya, Kongonsonya, Everglow, Wiki Mickey, and more. As for boy groups, it's hard to pick a definitive popularity or impact, but just to name a few, 17, NCT, GOT7, Winner, iKON, Monsta X, AT, Stray Kids are definitely the biggest and most popular globally. Most of these groups actively go on world tours and appear on Western TV shows nowadays. Cool. And then there are groups such as DAV, Impact, Victon, Astro, Pentagon, SF9, The Boys, Ace, JBJ, Golden Child, Intuit, UMB, Very Very, ONEUS, and more. So many girl groups, boy groups, mixed groups, new global audience, thus various music styles as well. You name it, K-pop has it. Oh, you don't like groups? Super produced modern electronic music? Maybe try IU out. She's Korea's nation's sister and also the nation's singer. Been around since 2008 with numerous ballad and K-pop hit songs. Single-handedly has the popularity equivalent to K-pop's biggest idols. Then there's K-hip-hop R&B, a whole scene of its own. Maybe check out Zico, who has an overlap background with K-pop. Then there's rock. Maybe check out bands like Day6 and Flying the Rose.
Crazy
and more.
that the industry's so big.
It's already 2000.
How does this guy know so much about it?
I'm
technically 10 years have passed again and the line is blurring between 3rd gen and 4th gen. Then what would be the standards of dividing the generations? I can't be the one deciding, but just to add my personal 2 cents, maybe the line could be drawn by observing groups that start off already with a bigger fandom globally rather than domestically in Korea from the pre-debut and rookie phase. In short, maybe no more validation or dependence from Korean fans needed, or there's an alternative view of simply drawing the line by post-BTS. And yes, I know y'all are screaming, what, not a single mention of BTS until now? But hold on a little bit more, I have a whole buffet for you. Well, anyway, this whole generation dividing process is a whole debate subject of its own, so let's just leave it there.
To me, obviously as a BTS fan and ARMY, I feel like that's another line that makes sense to me because BTS opened up the doors to the world, right? When they became popular globally.
Yeah.
And so I feel like for me, anybody else who comes after BTS set the bar for how popular they were and also like what you can achieve.
It also just changed the strategy for the way that an artist was able to be discovered, market themselves, connect with their audience. And remember, it was really different in the docuseries we watched because BTS, what he said was like, you were having acts that had more international fans than Korean fans initially.
Yes.
And so like BTS got popular internationally first.
Yes.
Which seems like that kind of was an idea that blew the industry's mind.
Yes.
Like they just, to the point that they wouldn't accept it initially.
They were truly game changers. And also they came from not one of the big 3.
Yeah.
And so I feel like because of that, they broke a lot of
the social media marketing, like
so many things.
The vlogging, the connection with ARMY, like the authenticity as opposed to the polished, right?
And now BTS has been around for 10 years now, right? So it's like also, and they're still obviously performing and making music too, even with the military. Yeah. So it's like, okay, when do you even draw the line post BTS? Because you're not, right?
Well, it sounds like even with Big Bang before, there's been other artists that were technically from like a different generation that still stayed incredibly popular and influential into the. So maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe there are certain groups that kind of break the generational. Yeah. They're like so big that it.
I would think anything that came out in like the last 5 years, because they're not even really competing with BTS anymore. They are like just trying to come up after them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and throw it to the comment section. Finally, there is one group that needs a thorough separate section in K-pop history, and it is BTS. BTS started off from a small company called Big Hit under the producer named Bang Si-hyuk, who was a former colleague and good friend to JYP.
Oh, really?
I didn't know to make his own company. Bang Si-hyuk gathered 7 members originally and planned to make a hip-hop group. However, the content and musical style diversified over the years. BTS didn't gain much attention during their first years, often getting mocked by their group name that means Bulletproof Boy Scouts, and apparently some or many people thought
I think it's a really sick name. I think it's so cool.
I was surprised by it when I first heard it because I didn't know what it stood for.
Appearances were unpretty. However, BTS differentiated themselves with other idols by speaking about the unspoken in their lyrics, such as mental health, youth problems, social issues, and the journey towards loving oneself. BTS also made their own universe and story in their music videos. They made moderate success until they got mainstream with their songs like I Need You, Dope, Save Me, and Fire.
It's crazy we kind of went full. I'm gonna pause then play it. So
okay.
But it's crazy that we sort of went full circle.
Yes.
Where it's like, hey, look, this artist has something really cool and interesting, guys. It's called Authenticity and a Message, which is where SeoTaiji, which like sparked the whole movement
in the first
was
place.
Doing initially. It was like, I'm actually talking about things that are important and that people care about.
Yes.
Wow, isn't that crazy? And then the businesses are like, that's really cool. Let's sideline that for a minute.
We're not gonna do
what
that.
if we pumped more money?
BTS also made their own universe and story in their music videos. They made moderate success until they got mainstream with their songs like I Need You, Dope, Save Me, and Fire. After that, every move they made pretty much became history. They topped the Billboard 200 charts 4 times in a row alongside the Beatles, appeared on multiple major American TV shows, got awarded by the Billboard Music Awards, AMAs multiple times, did a Grammys act, did a UN speech, did a cover of Times, had stadium world tours including Wembley and Saudi Arabia, sold over 20 million cumulative albums to this date. BTS has become
That's
so
crazy.
big that they become expressed as the BTS or Korean invasion, just like the British invasion from the Beatles by multiple critics and journalists. Many point out that it's even more significant regarding the fact that BTS's music and lyrics were not in English but in Korean. Also started off as underdogs in the K-pop industry itself, struggling without the support of big capital nor media. In the meantime, there might
a lot of other shenanigans.
have been attempts to compete with BTS. For example, SM making their own Avengers by combining members from existing successful groups like SHINee, EXO, NCT into a collaborative single group called Super M. Well, they did get a #1 on Billboard 200, but many people criticized the method of bundling issues in the process. However, industry-wise, it was a fresh attempt that never happened in K-pop history, trying to officially combine members from different groups into one with an agenda to make success in the American or global market.
That's
and it is these new attempts that fuel K-pop to go further on. Anyway,
I would be hurt if I was one of the members in the groups.
Yeah,
And it
you're
was
like,
oh,
okay,
he's
you're
just
leaving
gonna,
us?
okay.
Back to BTS, it's not an overstatement to say that BTS is probably bigger than all of K-pop combined at this point. However, from SeoTaiji to BTS, many groups existed, and every time records were broken. People were
Is that SeoTaiji with BTS?
to BTS, many groups existed,
Oh,
and every
yeah.
time records were broken. People were surprised. Back then, no one imagined anything bigger than TVXQ, Girls' Generation, Big Bang, EXO, Gangnam Style. But here we are. K-pop is still evolving. The market is getting bigger and it's becoming more well-known all around the world. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see
That's
what
so
happens
cool.
in the future of
Seeing
K-pop.
that many people do
Will
the
it just
choreo?
disappear as a trend or get even bigger like it always has?
Interesting. That is very interesting. So what happens like in the post BTS, right? Like in that fourth generation, who's gonna come up and play, right? Is it like, has BTS hit? Is that gonna be the peak? You know?
You mean like for worldwide popularity levels?
Yeah, it's interesting.
I feel like it's one of those things that it doesn't seem like any of the groups that got really big were engineered to do that either.
Yes.
Which is sort of an interesting like consistency throughout the generations too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know
Maybe
either.
we'll discover aliens and we can keep on.
Then we don't have to worry about it anymore.
It's like, yo, this charted on Mars. Isn't that crazy?
There was so much information packed into such a short time period. I do really appreciate the breakdown of the generations too, and especially seeing where some of the other group names and which generation they fall into. Because we were familiar with EXO, you were familiar with
Big Bang,
yeah, right. And I think there was another one. I forget the name of it that I was familiar with.
17.
17 we've heard of. Obviously Blackpink.
Yeah.
Twice. We've heard of them several times.
Yeah.
I think even in the interview we watched with
IU. Oh,
IU,
sorry.
Yeah.
What were you
even
saying,
with the Squid Games actors, remember they did the Hot Wings
Oh,
thing?
yeah.
He had to rank them. I think he had to rank, I think it was EXO twice and BTS,
yeah.
right? And
that's right.
So it's interesting to me that those are the three that they picked.
I'd say that we've heard a lot of these artists' names, the ones that we have recognized. It's usually in like Run BTS content too, or in some of the docuseries or some of the Rise of Bangtan. They'll reference like other groups and other significant storylines in the K-pop industry.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I feel like this was really cool. I liked getting the historical context.
I even liked a lot of the snippets of music that I heard that he included from some of those groups
they
that
were
he was
really
playing. I mean, there's so much good music out there. It's really overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, just even the number of artists, let alone the number of songs from those artists.
Oh, I know, right?
I can't believe that they had such a deep knowledge of everything. I would like.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote this was the perfect person to write this.
They knew a lot.
Dude, that's insane.
They knew so much.
It was cool seeing the connections with even like Bang PD being connected to JYP.
Yeah. I had no idea that he was friends with the founder.
It really felt like there was truly a connection of people that was crucial to like the founding of the big record
music
labels.
Industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was crazy how it's like, oh, so and so was mentored by so and so who mentored so and so.
Yeah. It was all connected.
It was really cool.
That's super cool. Thank you so much, guys, for the recommendation. Really enjoyed that.
2 thumbs up. We've also got our Patreon if you want to see our reactions to Life Give You Tangerines.
That's
which
true.
Mentioned, or all of the
With
BTS
IU.
with
IU.
Oh yeah,
sorry.
with IU, which is another connection, which is cool.
She does not even like.
I know.
You can't even tell it's the same person.
I knew IU was in When Life Gives You Tangerines, and like her acting was so good that I didn't.
You're like, that is IU, right? It is IU.
I was like, Stephanie, because her acting's so good,
so
good. We've also got lots of other K dramas over there. We've got a lot of other BTS content over
Vincenzo.
yeah, we got all of Vincenzo if you want to go binge it. But we love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. So
Bye.